Iceland is an island with 500,000 or so Vikings, mostly known for volcanoes, hot springs, and fishing. Known for its welfare state for being good and socialistic. Certainly not known for being corrupt or nepotistic. But in the USA and Europe, when they were deregulating banks, Iceland's politicians took bribes and joined their ranks. So you had a situation one would think just couldn't be. A bank whose debt was worth 10 times the country's GDP. When Wall Street imploded, sure enough it spread. Banks all over the world were floating in the red. All over the world, governments made the plan to cut spending and raise taxes on the working woman and working man. The banks were bailed out while the people had to pay. But in Iceland, people thought there must be a better way. And the earth stood still a moment. Fear was struck in every top when Iceland told the bankers. Iceland told the bankers. Iceland told the bankers to fuck off. That's the chorus. Sing with me. It's therapeutic. Folks were in the streets in Reykjavik and just couldn't be ignored. They said this is a debt we Icelanders can't afford. Let's guarantee deposits of all our people, yes indeed. But as for all the speculators motivated by their greed to make really dumb investments, to them Iceland said good luck. Sorry for your losses, but we don't really give a fuck. And the 1% all trembled when they took away the trough. When Iceland told the bankers, Iceland told the bankers, Iceland told the bankers to fuck off. The UK called them terrorists, said we cannot let this stand. Who do these peacenik blondes think they are in Iceland? They threatened isolation and economy inflamed. But the Icelanders said sorry, but the banks can settle their own claims, though that might be harder for them now that they're under house arrest. Or else they fled the country as they were most unwelcome guests. And now Reykjavik's recovery just makes the fat cats cough. Since Iceland told the bankers, Iceland told the bankers, Iceland told the bankers to fuck off. If you haven't heard of this example, perhaps there's a reason why the owners of the world don't want this kind of shit to fly. They say we all must pay up in this shakedown by the mob if we can't afford to pay the rent because we don't have a job. They say it's not their problem if we're forever shackled by their debt. We must save the 1% from the fate they should have met. But there is an alternative, though it makes the fat cats scoff. Since Iceland told the bankers, Iceland told the bankers, Iceland told the bankers to fuck off. Since Iceland told the bankers, Iceland told the bankers, Iceland told the bankers to fuck off. Thank you. Well, it's been, there's some things that are easy to write fun songs about, but past few months, it's been hard to laugh about anything that's been happening. One of those things being turning away child refugees without giving them asylum hearings, which is illegal, of course. Give us your huddled masses, yearning to be free. That's what it says on the Statue of Liberty, and here they come. From the other side, across the southern border, across the Great Divide, and now they're told they should go away. But the statue in the harbor says stay. Give us your cold and hungry, let them come by land or sea. Let them all find solace in this land of refugees, escaping persecution, just trying to survive. And they worked as hard as Guatemalans as soon as their ships arrived. And now they're told they should go away. But the statue in the harbor says stay. Give us your persecuted, but only if they're white. It doesn't say that on the statue that holds aloft the light. What did you think would happen in the lands you overthrew? Where should all the children go after after the coup, and now they're told they should go away. But the statue in the harbor says stay. Now they're told they should go away. But the statue in the harbor says stay. The statue in the harbor says stay. Well, I'll just, I think, various neighborhoods, including this one in Baltimore, is undergoing a process known as gentrification, and that's what's happening in the neighborhood I live in Portland, Oregon, where my rent is just about to be double what it was when I moved in 8 years ago. And basically, we live in a feudal society with landlords and tenants, of bosses and employees. And democracy is just a farce, because you don't have democracy if you're a tenant, and you don't have democracy if you're an employee. So what else are you? What else is most people in society? They're tenants. Supposedly we've never had peasants in America because it's antithetical to the concept of America, peasantry, right? But actually, it's nonsense. This is a society where the majority of the population were peasants, and a very significant minority and a majority in many states were slaves. That's the United States. That's what this country was founded on: peasantry and slavery. And in upstate New York, where one landowner who was given the land by the Dutch crown, he owned most of upstate New York, a guy named Van Rensselaer. He was the richest man on earth, and his descendants are rich today. And most of the wealth in this country was inherited; it wasn't earned. And the reason why we have any semblance of a middle class today, the reason why there's small farmers and small landholders at all, is because of the Homestead Act of 1962. And the reason the Homestead Act, 1862, and the reason the Homestead Act of 1862 was passed was because of the rebellions throughout the world in the 1840s. In Europe, every dictatorship, which we call monarchies, that's the polite word for dictatorship, all the dictatorships of Europe were overthrown by popular peasant rebellions in 1848. And in the United States, they were afraid that could happen here because there were stirrings of that sort of thing, because there were tens of thousands of farmers, small farmers, otherwise known as peasants, in upstate New York who were participating in something called a rent strike. And the way you fight gentrification is through the tactic known as the rent strike. It's a very dangerous tactic. It's all or nothing. You either win or you lose, and losing means you lose your place to live. But we need a lot more of that. And this is a song I wrote about the rent strike of the 1840s. For 9 years, the peasants of upstate New York refused to pay the rent. The trains came from Holland to America, became landlords where none had been before. Soon one man owned 500,000 acres on both sides of the Hudson River shore. He invited families to move in and give him 30% of everything they grow every year. This is how they pay the rent. His name was Van Rensselaer. He became one of the richest men on earth. In today's terms, $90 billion is how much he'd be worth. All this for doing nothing but saying all of this was his. I have the power of the state behind me, and I'm in the landlord biz. After 200 years of this and one revolution, another Van Rensselaer had another son, and this Rensselaer was greedier than his ancestors dead and past. It was the 1840s, and things were changing fast. It was the straw that broke the back The bottle was uncorked. They started organizing meetings. The tenant farmers of New York. They found the strength of numbers. They found the power of suggestion. They found each other asking the same question. Who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? They vowed they would stop the rent collection. They vowed they'd bring this madness to an end. And when one blew the tin horn of distress, he soon found he had 1,000 friends. With calico skirts masked upon their faces, on horseback, armed with knives and guns. They chanted and they yelled and they kept their farms, and they kept the sheriffs on the run. They asked, who gave you the right to be a landlord? Live a life of ease while others toil? Who gave you the right to be a rich man while the rest of us pay you so we can work this soil? The governor's militias tried to stop them, but nothing could be done to break their will. And by 1848, the landlords buckled, sold their holdings to the farmers in the hills. Yes, they overthrew this feudal system, but it's replaced now by speculators and banks. And you can still hear the homeless families asking of all the landed gentry in our ranks, who gave you the right to be a landlord? To live